On this video, I am going to be reading the Greek text of Matthew, the Sermon on the Mount, dealing with from verses 38 to 42. I'll be reading in Greek and doing a grammatical analysis as well as Hebrew and also Latin. So it's more of a polyglot, I guess you would say, reading and thinking about the thought of what Jesus is teaching. So we begin with the Greek. We'll be doing it verse by verse. Ekusate chate ophthalman anti ophthalmu kai adanta anti adantas. Notice here, you have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is a quote from Exodus 21:24 and Deuteronomy 19:12, Leviticus 24:20. And I believe it's, in my understanding, it's looking at justice, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, so forth. Now, as we read the Hebrew, it reads, Shemata ki ne'amar ayin tachat ayin, shin tachat shin. You have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Let me just do a bit of grammar. In the Greek, ekusate is the aorist indicative active second person plural from akuo. And erethe is from lego, it's the aorist indicative passive third person singular from lego. You have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The Hebrew then, looking at the grammar basically, shemartim, you have heard. Notice we have the cow perfect second masculine plural from shama, to hear. So you have heard ki ne'amar, that it has been said. Ne'amar is from amar, to say, and here we have the nifal perfect third masculine singular from amar, ayin tachat ayin, shin tachat shin. And then the Latin, reading the Latin version, the Vulgate, it reads, audistis quia dictum est. You have heard that it was said. Here we have the perfect in dictum est. So you have heard that it has been said, oculam pro oculo, an eye for an eye, et dentem pro dente. That's where we get the word dentist, but an eye for an eye. Pro oculo, here pro takes the ablative for the word eye. So you have heard an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Then we go to the next verse in the Greek text, and Jesus then says, ego de lego humen, me anestenai to paniro, al hastese chlapitse esten dexian, siaganasu, srepson auto kaitain ale. We would translate this, but I say to you, not to resist, or do not resist the evil one, but whosoever is smiting you or smites you upon your right cheek, turn to him also the other. Here Jesus is teaching the teaching of non-resistance. You turn to the other, and the opposite of striking back. What a beautiful teaching of Jesus here, that we can call it biblical non-resistance, going back to the teaching of our Lord. Notice then the Hebrew. Well, first of all, let me do a little bit of the grammar then. You have noticed, but I am saying to you, me anastenai. Anastenai is the aorist infinitive, and the root here is antistemi, meaning to resist. And so we have the aorist active infinitive, atistenai. So do not resist the evil one, but whosoever is smiting you, chlapidze, is your present indicative active, third person singular from chlapidzo, on your right cheek. Turn to him. Strepson is from strepho, meaning to turn. Here we have the aorist imperative, second masculine singular, or masculine singular from strepho. Turn to him also the other. And the Hebrew then reads, but I say to you, aval ani omer lachem, al titkomamu l'ra, ak hamakeh otecha al halhi hayemanit hatelo gam et ha'acheret. That is, you have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. I'm going to get this sun out of my eyes here a bit. But I say to you, do not resist the evil one. Notice here, omer is your participle, your cow participle, masculine singular from amar. I say to you, al titkomamu. Here we have kum. Do not resist the evil one, or to I would understand this as an adjective, to the evil one. Notice kum here is the root. Here we have a hit polal, imperative from kum, second, or masculine plural, second masculine plural. So, or we could just say masculine plural. Do not resist the evil one. Indeed, the one who smites you, hamakeh, is from nakah, to smite. Notice here we have a participial form, a hiphil participle, masculine singular from nakah. The noon here, by progressive assimilation, has gone into the kaf. So ha mankeh would be historically what it would have been, and then the noon, by progressive assimilation, went into the kaf, causing its doubling. So the one who smites you, al, upon the cheek, upon the right cheek, ha yemanit, hatelo gam et acheret. Turn to him also the other. Notice as we look at this here, turn to him also the other. Hate is from nata, to turn. And here we have another imperative, a hiphil imperative, masculine singular from nata. So turn to him, indeed, ha-acheret, the other. And then, again, the Hebrew here in this translation by Delitzsch very, very close to the Greek text. Then we go to the Latin. Ego autem dico vobis, but I say to you, non resistere malo, do not resist the evil one. Here we have the imperative to resist. Again, in the Latin, sed si quis te percusserit in dextera maxilla tua, but whosoever shall smite you, notice here, or strike you on your cheek, praebe ille et altera, praebe ille et alteram, alteram. Notice here, we have whosoever shall percusseret is from percutio, and the infinitive would have been percutere. It's the future perfect indicative from percutio. So whosoever it be that should have or shall have wounded you or struck you on the right cheek, then turn praebe ille et altera. Turn also to the other. So we have the future perfect here, third masculine singular. Then notice we have the imperative again, praebe ille et altera. This is from praebeo, and the infinitive would be praebere, offer to him, or also the other. And so again, the translation is very faithful to the Greek. So then let's go back to the next verse, where Jesus then continues. So we read then in verse 40, Kai to thelanti soi krithenai, kai tan kitonasu labain, aphes auto kai ta chemation. And to the one who desires to go to court with you, and to take your ketona. The ketona, in my understanding, is looking at the undergarment. That wants to take the undergarment, then give to him also the outer. Notice, aphes auto kai ta chemation. Chemation referring then to the outer garment, which was really what one would wear often at night to keep warm. So Jesus, again, is continuing the teaching of non-resistance, of non-violence. And notice he says, to the one who desires, krithenai. Thelanti is your participle from thelo. It's the dative singular, present participle from thelo. And to the one who wills, krithenai is from krino. And it basically is an aorist passive infinitive. You think of luthenai as your aorist active infinitive. So the one who is willing to really go to court, or to be in court, and to take your inner garment. Labain here is from lambano. It is the aorist active infinitive from lambano, to take your garment. Then leave to him. This is from apheemi, or permit him also your outer garment. Here we have another imperative from apheemi, second masculine singular, the aorist imperative. So give to him, or permit to him, the outer garment. And then looking at the Hebrew, of that verse. Just find it here. Here we go. Va'asher yahpots lari imecha velakachat et kutontecha ten lo gam et ha-ma'il. That is, and he who would desire to go to court with you. Notice Yahpots here is from hapatz, to desire. And here we have a cow perfect third masculine singular from hapatz. So whoever desires lariv, to go to court. Here we have from actually it's interesting. It's an infinitive, a cow infinitive construct, and from riv. It's when you think about the Hebrew Bible, a riv is often a courtroom scene, and you see it, for example, like in Isaiah chapter 1. So whosoever desires to go to court with you, velakachat, and to take at your kutontecha, to take your inner garment. Notice here, lakachat is the infinitive construct from lakach, and to take, cow infinitive construct, your inner garment, ten lo, give to him. Notice 10 is from Natan. It is the cow imperative, a second masculine singular from Natan, or masculine singular from Natan. So give to him indeed your ma'il, I'm understanding to be your outer garment. And then the Latin reads, et ei qui volt tecum judicio contendere, that is, and to him who would with you in judgment to contend, or in a courtroom kind of judgment to contend. Notice here, contendere is your infinitive, to contend in court, and tunicum tuum tolere, and to take your tunic. Here we have again the present infinitive from tolere, to take. Then remite ei et pallium, that is, give to him also, and pallium, I'm understanding again the Latin translation of the outer garment. It means garment, but probably in the context here, Jerome was thinking of the outer garment. And then we move on to verse 41 in the Greek. Notice it says, "Kai hastise agaruse milion hen hupage met autu duo," and whosoever shall compel you to go 1 mile, then go with him too. So whosoever, and notice agaruse is your future indicative active third person singular from agaruo. So whosoever should compel you 1 mile. And there was often this kind of compulsion that was done. A Roman soldier might compel someone to carry something for a mile. And what Jesus is saying, then go with him too. Hupage is from hupago. Here we have your present imperative, second masculine singular from hupago. Go with him too. And then we read the Hebrew at this point. Notice here in the Hebrew that, and if, let's find it here. Okay, here we go. But I say to you, here we go. I'm tracking it in the Hebrew text here, and we are at verse 40. And now we're moving on to verse 41. V'hahones otecha lalechet imo derek mil lake ito shenayim. And it reads, but the one who is compelling you to go with him for a derek meal. I guess we could translate this one derek, and probably derek here means way, but one way meaning one kind of a mile is no doubt what I'm sorry, meal means would be probably translated a mile here. The way of a mile, we could render it, I suppose. Go with him too. Notice the one who is compelling you, ones here, is your cow participle masculine singular from anas. To go, lalechet, is from halak, to go. It's the cow infinitive construct, to go with him 1 mile, derek mil. Then go, lake ito shenayim, go with him too. Notice lake here is from halak. It is the cow imperative masculine singular from halak. And then reading the Latin here, it reads, et quicumque te angariaveret mille passus, vade cum ille duo. That is, whosoever should compel you to go mille passus. Sort of interesting here. Mille passus would be like 1,000 paces, or we could say 1 mile. And the verb here is angario, from angarare, to compel. So whoever would compel you, or the one who compels you, should compel you to go, we could say 1,000 paces or 1 mile. Actually, mille passus means 1,000 paces, but 1 mile would be about 1,000 paces. And angariaveret is from the root angare, to compel. And I'm understanding this as again, another future perfect from the root angario. So the one who would compel you to go 1 mile, then wade, the imperative, go cum elu. Here we have the ablative, with him too. So go to. And then verse 42, we'll read it in the Hebrew and then go back to read it in the Greek and then go back to the Hebrew. Sort of fun trying to juggle all of these languages. Verse 42, to aitunti sedas, kaitan thelanta apas su danisastai me apostrophe. That is, to the one who is asking you, give. And the one who is desiring from you to borrow, do not turn away. Notice to aitunti is from aiteo, to ask. Here we have the articular present participle from aiteo. So to the one who is asking you, das, give. This is an imperative from didomi, a aorist imperative, masculine singular from didomi. So the one who's asking you, give, and to the one who wills from you to borrow, and the one who desires to borrow from you. Notice here, ton thelanta again is from thelo, an articular use of the participle. Um, it's a participle, again, accusative singular from thelo. Then do not, from him to borrow. Danisastai is your middle infinitive from the word to borrow, from the word danidzo. So to the one who is desiring from you to himself borrow, me apostrophes, do not turn away. Here, notice apostrophes is your aorist subjunctive, a second masculine singular from apostrophomai, to turn away. So do not turn away. And then we look at the Latin here. Qui petit a te, whoever is asking you. Notice petit here is your present indicative active, third person singular from petare, to add, or petere, excuse me. So whoever is asking you or from you, and here takes the ablative, from you, da a, give to him. Da is the imperative to give, and to the one who desires, et volente mutuare a te, the one who desires to borrow from you. Here we have another infinitive, mutuare a te, from you, with another ablative following the preposition a. Then ne avertaris, do not turn away. So basically what Jesus is teaching, I believe, he is teaching an attitude of service, I suppose, if I could try to summarize his teaching. And he's teaching certainly non-resistance, that is, be non-resistant in life. And so often people are wanting to get even. Having been a pastor for many years, one of the things that I've found is that people, if somebody does wrong to them or says something, they want to say something back, something, let's say, they don't like. They want to repeat it back. And the attitude is, no one's going to step on me. Well, I think what Jesus is teaching here is the opposite. He's teaching to follow his example, who being reviled did not revile back, and so forth. And it's something that's very hard to learn, to be non-resistant. And like I say, having been a minister for many years, I've seen many church meetings where people get very upset, and they're really often attacking others verbally. And one of the things I think Jesus is teaching is, be kind, respond back with a non-resistant attitude, rather than I'm going to get even with that person. Then he goes on, like we said, to talk about helping other people that have needs and being able to reach out, settle things before they get too far. On your way to court, he said, settle it. Don't wait until the time, if someone is really wanting to take you and take away your inner garment, give to him the outer. In other words, again, this whole area of, I'm going to use the word non-resistance that permeates this text. And then uh, being willing to give to others in need as they ask and have need and so forth. So at any rate, this has been fun for me. I basically am trying to improve in my Latin, and feel free, anyone can correct me. I I love working through grammar for the fun of it. I'm in retirement now and I'm doing this just to keep my mind active. And I've been using Dailage for the Greek. Uh, I've done a number of Greek grammars, excuse me, for the Hebrew, Dailage for the Hebrew. I've done a number of Hebrew grammars in the Hebrew Old Testament for the Hebrew Bible. But this is the first time I've been working through the New Testament in Hebrew. And I've been using Dailage because his translation was before actually Ben Yehuda and before the modern, let's say, Hebrew language came alive. And I don't know, I'm just thinking maybe Dailage would have worked a lot out of the Hebrew Bible and out of the possibly Mishnah, and is capturing perhaps what Jesus might have said. We don't know for sure. It's my own conviction, along with what I read in Dailage, that Jesus would have taught in Hebrew. Some debate that and say, well, he would have taught in Aramaic. I know he spoke Aramaic, but I'm wondering, as Dailage said, if he would not have taught in the Hebrew language. But at any rate, this is something we're having fun with, and I hope it helps somebody to meditate on Christ and think about what he has said and about Jesus. And that's one of the things that I want to do as I go through the Sermon on the Mount.